that one tank, despite not siege tanks, have rather long range, a longer range than the vultures do, and can, you know, do more damage. So in all in all, they're rather effective. Of course, yeah. Let's see here. Tank also has 1 kill, so Hwasin right now just reinforcing his vultures. Tried to go for a force in there, but fighting up against the choke, he didn't really want to. 3 tanks not in the field for Iris. So Iris is going to have those tanks to help support his vultures, and if Hwasin wants to go for something, he has to go for this here. The tanks are actually going to start moving out against his vultures, and Hwasin is going to be forced back. Does not want to have to engage these tanks. He doesn't have mines critically. If he had put some mines onto that ridge, he might have been able to trick Iris's forces into that if Iris didn't know. So you have mines that have now been put down by Hwasin, and the tanks and the vultures are moving straight into that, but there are scans going off. The vultures are not going to be able to take all these mines out, and Hwasin actually lost quite a large number of vultures, going to be forced to move right back to his base, while Iris is now going to go on the aggressive, almost losing a tank there to a mine. Hwasin instantly reinforcing as many vultures as he can, just putting down mines all over the place just to try to distract Iris. Iris moving back forward, scanning for those mines, trying to engage with his vultures, sieging his tanks to get those vultures out of range, so those vultures are not going to be able to run in close. Hwasin has his own tanks now. I assume they have siege mode. I'm not quite sure, because I saw one of the machine shops started spitting. If that's siege mode, then Hwasin has a very late siege mode, trying to catch Iris here again, but Iris has a smaller number of vultures than Hwasin does, is reinforcing right now, and also tanks in the way. With those siege tanks as a part of his forces, he can siege and force Hwasin to fight at range. Iris also not getting for a starport, so dropship play is imminent for him as well. We're going to see whether he tries to distract Hwasin at one location and move into dropships, possibly inside of his main. Siege is on the way. Hwasin has very late siege, so he's going to be forced to sit inside of his base, and Iris is actually going to start pushing in those vultures at the front, siege tanks at the back, and Hwasin has no answer for now. Has unfortunately no answer for him, and I think one of the tanks standing I think that's actually Iris's mine, so never mind. Scano going off for those mines. The vultures on top of the mines, and Hwasin's still waiting on his siege. Now going to move in very close with his vultures. The tanks are taking out a lot of these vultures. The Hwasin engaging with. Hwasin now finally, I believe, has his own siege up. No, just now gets his siege up going. And Hwasin trying to get into getting some mines in very close to the tanks. The mines are going to go off, killing 7 of the tanks. Only 2 tanks left. And surrounds and mines going off on the rest. And oh, Hwasin unfortunately losing a lot of his own vultures in the play. That was not necessary. He put down a mine. He should have been able to move with his vultures back, possibly not doing that, fearing a siege tank shot. But Iris is going to be able to reinforce. Has 5 more tanks on the way, more vultures as well. Hwasin, however, has a rather large number of tanks himself that he's repairing and getting ready for a defensive position as well. So if Iris manages to move in close with his own vultures, he will be able to accomplish a lot. Also now expanding the lower left hand, so he's continuing trying to get an economic edge. Honestly, I felt that engagement that was there near Hwasin's base really didn't go in anybody's favor, although Hwasin has now spotted his base, the lower left hand, has moved some of his vultures, that is planning his tanks just to prevent those tanks from moving in. Planning mines, I'm sorry, to prevent those tanks from coming in, but the vultures are going to come in instead for Iris and clean things up. So the base is going to take a little while to build, and Hwasin also moving out one of his own SCVs, apparently thinking of taking in inside 11 o'clock. And Iris, meanwhile, going to send one of his own SCVs to start rebuilding. And yeah, Hwasin does indeed take the inside 11 o'clock, trying to not leave himself too open by taking the upper right hand. Of course, that does mean that he's sacrificing 1 gas, so he's going to be on 1 less gas. And no, we're going to see what actually turns out to be a bad decision. Iris has sent some vultures towards that upper right hand, expecting a base there, but no base there. Also going around now for mine clearing. 1 tank there, Hwasin, that loses. Siege is up just outside that 1 o'clock position that he has, that he was thinking of putting up, but he's mostly put up this inside 11 o'clock. And we're going to see what actually comes out to pace. And Iris going for Wraiths. Iris not going for dropships, actually going for Wraith support for his ground force. This could be actually a very smart play for him. Wraiths are going to be able to peter at those forces on the ground very quickly. And I think Hwasin's the one that's going for an armory. I believe that's Hwasin going for an armory. And if he does go for Goliath soon, he's going to be able to counter with his Wraiths pretty swiftly. Starport being floated up most likely so he can add in a control tower, but 3 Wraiths now on the field are going to go help these ground forces. Iris also taking his inside 5 o'clock, his mineral only, so he's going to be heavily economically ahead unless Hwasin goes and does some kind of damage. Wraiths then going to go start attacking these tanks. They're trying to take down one of these Zelnaga temples, so at least a few of these tanks are going to go down because no anti-air support coming for Hwasin anytime soon. Hwasin starting off by moving his heavily damaged tank away. No, okay, Iris went for his armory first, and Hwasin just now has his on the way, a little bit late. But he's going to be having Goliaths on the field fairly soon. Now moving some vultures and tanks to the side, trying to clear out the position here at the left side that Iris has. Quite a few siege tanks there, and those wraiths helping him out. Scans going off for Hwasin, and vultures moving in for Iris now as well, trying to help against these tanks. Hwasin has a larger tank number, although he's, for one thing, getting some of his tanks heavily damaged due to those wraiths, trying to repair with his SCVs, forcing to move several SCVs in just to repair these tanks. One of his tanks loses, some more tanks are going to lose their lives just because the SCVs can't quite repair well enough, can't quite get in a position. So Hwasin is being pushed back just a little bit, just with these 3 wraiths. Iris playing very small, just using these 3 wraiths to kill as many tanks as he can. Also has a larger vulture number, I believe, at this point, and has this 3rd base up now, as well as getting his 4th fairly soon. And okay, Hwasin has picked up the 1 o'clock, has no mining at the location yet, and Iris knows it's up, so he might actually go and start harassing that as well. Still, meanwhile, just trying to pick off tanks randomly. Now actually going to move his wraiths away, possibly thinking of doing some damage there at that 1 o'clock position. So Hwasin's still a little bit economically behind, although he's still holding position. Iris now going to move Peter at the more defensive positions near Hwasin's 1 o'clock. And Iris still going very heavy in the vultures. Still no Goliaths in play from either player. A little bit different from the standard TVT you see. Hwasin desperately trying to repair some of his tanks. And Iris just moving right towards that 1 o'clock with vultures. Hwasin has a few vultures to respond, but I'm not quite sure if he has enough. He's trying to hold his ramp for now. Finally, Goliaths on the field for Hwasin. 2 wraiths lose their lives. 1 wraith still flying in the air. And Iris trying to push up. He has a much larger vulture number, but Hwasin steadily trying to hold the ramp. He's not going to have... I don't think he's going to have enough force. Has Goliaths moving in to help support his vultures, forcing Iris a little bit back. Also, siege tanks moved toward that position. And now we're going to have Engineering Bay coming up for Iris. So he's going to be starting putting up turrets at defensive positions, because now that Goliaths have come into play, most likely we'll be seeing dropships coming in soon. And Iris actually taking down a 5th base at the 9 o'clock position, while Hwasin also, I believe, putting down a base at the 4 o'clock. So Iris is expanding all over the place, trying to take a quick advantage that way, just completely out-macroing Hwasin so far. And if Hwasin doesn't go and do some damage to his forces, Iris is going to be able to take this match completely. Now engaging here, a lot of vultures gaining more tanks, and more tanks now on the way for Iris, just moving up towards, right into Hwasin's position, and really seeing the Hwasin's falling economically behind. Is trying to reinforce with his own forces, scanning up, sieging his own forces, but getting them hit by Iris' siege. What he has to do is really just playing far too defensively. Mines going off into Hwasin's forces, also loses some forces that way. What Hwasin really needs to do is stop playing it defensively. He needs to get some dropships out there, tries to do some economic damage, because Iris is expanding all over the place. Also apparently putting down a base at the 3 o'clock position. So he's expanding over the entire map, and he actually has the forces to back this up. He has enough forces on the ground now, just sending SCVs all over the place to his new bases. He has enough forces on the ground also to just help him support this, to help make sure that Hwasin can't harass all of these positions. And that's exactly what Hwasin needs to do, because Hwasin's still sitting only on 4 bases, one of those being a mineral only. And Iris, in, say, a few minutes, 2 to 3 minutes, his new bases, 2 to 3 minutes maybe, his new bases are going to kick in. And once that happens, I think that's going to spell doom for Hwasin. He's going to need to do a lot of harassment, but now Iris is going to get inside of Hwasin's 1 o'clock. Actually might manage some of harassment of his own. Hwasin does have vultures in response. A huge tank number moving into defend as well, and he really needs to do something more with these tanks. He has a huge immobile army. He's going to try to siege against those tanks at the south that Iris has. He's going to be able to clear those up fairly soon, because Iris doesn't really have that much, but he has a lot of forces moving down